And we're back. Hey guys, sorry it's been a while since I made a video. Wintertime was just, yeah, it's in the past. Anyhow, this is a little update on Brandon Iron Hills, the 40 acres that we had acquired last year and where it currently is and like what we've done with it. But behind me, you can see that's our cool little hillbilly outhouse thing that I made, and it's freaking awesome, and I'll talk about that here a little bit later. So what has happened since the winter time and until now? We've definitely got more roads cut and more established, with this crush and run. It's a fairly cheap option. This doesn't do such a good job of keeping the weeds from growing back up, but it does establish a nice good foundation that you can drive on when the roads are wet during the winter time and or springtime, whatever. And then just a whole network of trails that me and the kids have gotten cut into this side. This is the 7-acre side. Over there where all the hills are is the 33 acres. Over there, you probably can't see, it's blending in, but we have a deer food plot that I can zoom in, you might be able to see it. See the salt block there, and then there's a feeder hanging in the tree. So that's our little food plot where either plant like beets or clover, soybeans, maybe a mix of things, which I've got stuff I got to put in for a spring/summer crop. The coolest thing of all is we listed our property on HIPCAMP. So if you haven't heard of HIPCAMP, and by the way, I'm not being paid by them to say this, I'm just simply saying it's a cool way to recoup some of your expenses and for other people to enjoy your property, nature lovers, people want to go out camping and stuff, and could be a pretty decent side hustle. So if you remember, our property has a stream that runs along the property line, and it's kind of like where our property line is. And go here where you see it. There it is. So this is Long Creek. This is the creek that the stream that runs through the property, and it runs all the way down about a quarter mile or so before it's no longer on our property. So I figured, since the family and I like coming out here and staying here, I figured other people would too, but you just don't want to stay at that commercial type campground. So I came across HIPCAMP, and that is a kind of like an Airbnb of sorts, except for private property, which is really freaking cool. So what we did is, see that cool little macrame swing there? Wife loves that. You can create primitive campsites on your land and post it onto HIPCAMP, and a lot of people go on there and they will book your sites, and you'll just obviously you'll book accordingly to what amenities you offer, whether it's you have full hookups, you have water, electricity, sewage, all those things, or if you're 100% primitive like we first started, which is you bring in what you pack out, what you bring in, take all your trash. There's no full bathrooms, running water, that stuff. So, that's all made aware on the listing. But a lot of people are still looking for that kind of stuff, and you can charge accordingly. So here is our most popular site. So this is what I call Creekside, for obvious reasons. I have steel fabricated fire pits made by Cardwell Metalworks out of Franklin, Kentucky. And I put a fire pit in every single campsite. So this is the first campsite. We have a much larger one down there where you can put an RV in. And then I got another one over there that's kind of sitting on top of the hill overlooking the creek. But Creekside is our most popular for obvious reasons. You have a nice flat spot. Folks set up a tent, and they're literally right on the water, listening, to the peacefulness of a freshwater stream. And then folks that have families or kids or pets, they can come down in here and they can play and not have to worry about, it's chlorine and chemicals and all that kind of stuff, because this is fresh water. I tested it last year and it's perfectly safe. Nothing ridiculous in there. Unlike those poor people in Ohio and stuff where they had that train derailment, which sucks. But anyhow, they can come down here, they can play in the water. It's ankle deep in most places, maybe hip deep around the bend there, and we got a swimming hole a little bit further down. But people love that kind of stuff. They're still looking for that kind of stuff. They want to get back into nature. They kind of want to kick it old school for a weekend or so. So if you got the property, you got the land, and you're looking for a cool little side hustle, this is the way to do it, you know? So, you know, as we're continuing to develop and we're doing stuff, like tomorrow I'm going to be turning over the field on the other side of the property there, and, you know, we're going to be putting in vegetables and I think some fruits and different things of sorts that we can have. But aside from that, it's a really cool way to generate some passive income. So I'll show you one of the other sites. Just around. Out here brush hogging with the old John Deere 3038. This thing is going strong. Surprisingly, I only got 60 hours on it because it really just gets used out here. So let's go down to the property. Jesus. So here's our other creekside campground. Jeez, oh Pete's campsite. This one, I purposely set it up because you got a lot of people that like pull through that may say have a small pull behind camper. So this one's kind of shaped like a half moon. Comes off of, this is the boundary road, but it comes off, goes around, and then comes back out this way. They can pull right in, set up, level their camper, and they're good to go. And then when it's time for them to pack up, you know, you ain't got to worry about backing you up, giving you directions. Everybody gets confused. You hit a tree, you get pissed. Now you all are arguing. So you ain't got to worry about that. Yeah, so this is our other creekside campsite. This one I just cleared it, well, re-cleared it today. And again, see what I mean? It's got a metal fabricated fire pit. Again, Cardwell Metalworks, Franklin, Kentucky. But this one's like a little bit removed from the creek. It's sitting higher, which is a good thing if you're kind of afraid, you know, you don't want to be that close to the stream, or for whatever reason you just, or if maybe the other one's booked, you're setting up here. It's a little bit more shaded, but again, it's right on the water, and one of my more favorite spots. So this is the second one, and then the third one, I'm going to hop on a tractor, and we're going to go down to the big one. This is where actually my family and I stay, because it's the biggest one, and you know, we got 2 sons, my wife, 3 dogs, and my father-in-law. He occasionally stays with us, so it's a good spot to pull in our camper and then set up. So I'll show you that one. So I decided I'm going to walk. So as I'm walking up to the large camps, I'm going to show you another swing that we put in. So cut in this trail here, and then this is kind of where the beginning of the bend is in the river, where it gets, or I should say stream, where it gets slightly deeper. But got this really cool tree that's laid over, and I got another macrame swing there. This area is all cleared out. Excuse me. And then this swing overlooks where there's a slight drop in elevation, so the water picks up here, so you can really hear the water running, which is nice and peaceful if you're into that kind of stuff. And again, you know, at this point it's ankle deep at the most, until it gets down to where you can see that root ball right there, which is the swimming hole. During the winter time, that tree fell over and fell right smack in the middle of the swimming hole that I had dug. And that spot is probably on me roughly mid-chest, you know, so we're like right here, which is perfect for small kids. And it's all river rock, all this stuff underneath. So anyhow, you know, I got this cool little macrame swing, used some nylon rope, tied off to the tree. Another really cool spot. The idea is, one, you know, you want peace and quiet, but then 2, if you're going to do this HIPCAMP thing, or you're going to kind of do like a private campground or get into the glamping stuff, you know, you can provide a cool experience without going way over the top. You know, I think it's sometimes simple is better, and this is what it is. Provide people a space where they can just kind of be quiet, you know, and just enjoy the quiet, and let the, you know, all the craziness in their lives escape for a while. So if you can provide that in a nice, clean, fun, safe environment, I think it'll be rather successful. All right, so that's enough philosophy on that, but let's make our way over to the other campground. God dang it, campsite. So we've arrived at what I call Southern Pine, because it is the southernmost point of the property. and for some reason in this spot is where there's pine trees. You know, there's virtually no pine trees behind me, but when you get to this spot right here, we get evergreen trees, so I've nicknamed this spot Southern Pine. But before I turn into the campsite, you can see it, I'll show you the swimming hole from an elevator. So check that out. So that right there where that giant root ball is right smack in the middle of the swimming hole at the moment. But as you can see, it just makes sure it's like a nice little kind of like area where everybody can hang out on the creek bank there. They can hang out, sit, you know, like for now, you know, I sit on a log and enjoy a nice lunch and or a drink and just enjoy the peace and quiet. But I'm gonna get an excavator, get that big boy out of there, and you can see that's all from storm runoff right there. All these logs, believe it or not, my kids, we spent all day with chainsaws, a side-by-side and a tractor and a skid steer, or it's not skid steer, excavator, pulling all of that stuff out of this hole because it washed down the stream after some really nasty storms this winter. So yeah. All right, Southern Pine. Let me back that out. This is where we spend all of our time. So this is it's right on where the property comes to a point. And it's virtually like about 20 feet over that way, no, maybe more, 100 feet I should say, is the end of the property. And there's a big culvert right there. That culvert is not storm runoff. It's actually connected to an underground stream that is on the large side. Where the hills are, there's a ground spring that runs over there, and then it comes out of the ground just on the opposite side of the road, runs through the culvert, goes around the property, and then it connects to Long Creek. It's pretty cool. So this is Southern Pine. This is the biggest site that I've cleared yet, but it's large enough that we can pull the camper in right here, set it up. It's level ground, or if we don't want to do the camper, we got a nice tent site over there where we can put up our big family tent and the kids can put up theirs. And then I have this oversized fire pit that has our last name on it, as well as Brandon Iron Hills and the logo that Tyler made. And if you haven't figured it out by my necklace, yes, I am a former United States Marine. So of course Marine Corps is on everything that I do. Well, I'm involved in. I'm not that crazy motivated, but again, you know, I wear the necklace and I'm proud of what I did. So that's on there. But Hills logo, which Tyler came up with, I think is really freaking cool. I love it. It's probably 4 foot by 4 foot, so you can have some monster fires in here. Got our firewood storage there, and then this is the perimeter or boundary road that runs all the way up to the main gate. And then over here, I don't know if I talked about this in a previous video, but this is our shed. Side-by-sides near tools, generator, sometimes the tractor. It all depends, but it's called Shelter Logic. Makes this thing. It's olive drab, so it blends in pretty good, and it's actually very freaking sturdy. So if you're looking for a kind of like a temporary storage solution, it could be long-term as long as you take care of it. But it's this guy right here, Shelter Logic. So it kind of looks like a Quonset hut, and it's got a door on both sides. I got that's a solar panel for a light, a motion active solar light inside. So when I go to put the side-by-side away or tools away and I walk in, you know, I got some light that I'm working with. But that is 12 foot wide, and I think it's 12 by 20 is what it is. So it's perfect for what we're doing for now, until you know, get the money freed up. Because obviously most of my money goes towards racing if it's not going towards my family. But when we get some freed up cash, you know, we'll put a permanent structure out here. So I was getting ready to wrap it up, and I just remembered I forgot to talk about the hillbilly outhouse that I engineered. So let's walk over there and I'll briefly tell you about that. So if you need a safe and sanitary solution for, you know, to use the bathroom, or we have people staying, I will show you. Now, I am not telling you by any means that this is up to code, because it's really not. But the concept of this septic system is that of what would be a large septic system, but it's good for, you know, it's good for just when you have people onesie twosies that are visiting. It's not meant for, you know, having 200-300 people out here at a time. It just can't support, you know, that type of waste or usage. But I'm going to show you what I did, and it only cost me, if you subtract the expense for the excavator, about 300 bucks and a couple hours of my time. So, all right, we've arrived. Sorry if I sound winded, I'm just fat and out of shape. So we have arrived at the Hillbilly Outhouse. Ta-da! No, people are not crapping in that 55-gallon drum. That simply acts as a base for the toilet seat. So over here is our firewood. So what HIPCAMP is, you can upsell items. So if when people come to stay, you can, on their reservation, you can offer firewood, generator, different things like that at an upsell. So when they book, they'll pre-buy it, and then on a reservation, they'll tell you, hey, they bought 2 bundles of firewood. So okay, cool, 20 extra bucks, you know. So we have our pre-bundled firewood under here, and then I just take it over to their campsite before they arrive and leave it for them. All right, so this, I repurposed this deer blind that a friend of mine uses during the hunting season, but until I set up the building, this will do. And it's actually, believe it or not, it says on the instructions when you set it up, either deer blind, outhouse. So it's getting used as an outhouse. Yeah, sorry, Eric. It's just, it works. All right, so this little guy right here, this toilet seat, you can actually buy at Camping World. It's made by Camco, and it typically comes with another base. It's like a storage tank for the waste. And what I did is I just took the storage tank off. It's put that in the shed, but then I attached this to the top of this barrel. Underneath of this barrel is a 3.5-inch PVC pipe that connects to directly below it. As you go straight down about 6 feet, there's a 200-gallon tank, and then that 200-gallon tank is then connected to another 50-gallon tank that's right here. And from the 50-gallon tank, this runs downhill roughly from where I'm standing to where the road is. It's probably about 10 inches of drop, believe it or not. So, and you set up your drain field, you want to make sure that that pipe that is going downhill, because you want to use gravity. You want to let gravity do the work so that it can drain off the fluids and as the solids decompose, yada yada. So the 200-gallon drum sits about a foot higher than the 50-gallon drum, and then it is connected by a PVC elbow to the 50-gallon drum, and then the 50-gallon drum has very tiny holes drilled all around the bottom so that it can drain off the liquids. But then as it slowly fills up with more of solids, it can then drain into the drain field the same way that your septic tank would if you have a septic system at your own. So same principle, it's just not technically up to code, but now at least you don't have to worry about people coming out, staying on your property, and then when you come out to check on it after they left, you're not going to find baby wipes and little landmines, you know, all over your property. So this way you're giving them a place to go, and also for your family too, because where I'm at, it's going to take you 20 minutes to get to the nearest public restroom from here. So, you know, give them something they can use. But like I said, a day's worth of work, a helping hand, 200-gallon drum, 50-gallon drum, and then I've got probably 20 feet or so in PVC, and then a handful of PVC fittings. You got yourself a Hillbilly outhouse. Casa de Crapper. So anyhow, I hope you guys appreciate the video and enjoy it, and hopefully this answers your questions if you're thinking about getting into HIPCAMP and how you can use it. It doesn't matter how big your property is, even if it's 2 acres or if it's 100 acres. You can sell campsites on HIPCAMP, and supposedly, you know, people are making an upwards of $50,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on how far you take it. I can't say we're on track to do $50,000, but I can tell you that we've already paid our property taxes for the year, which is awesome. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll try to do a much better job of creating content, especially about the land. But, you know, appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe, and if you ever see me out and about, especially at the racetrack, please stop by and say hello. Peace.